Hello, this is John, welcoming you to the Enfield Talking Newspaper, Dateline, the 18th of August 2016. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Pree, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Breuer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perret, and is used with his kind permission. The local news stories that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright.
Pupils play it safe. Primary school pupils explored road safety awareness issues by taking part in interactive workshops. 5 schools got involved in the Streets Ahead programme run by Conflux Theatre in Education to look at key issues from the perspective of a pedestrian. 30 youngsters from Worcester's Primary in Goat Lane, Enfield, were among those who got involved and were encouraged in role-playing scenarios that could occur on the road. The workshops also highlighted the dangers of being distracted by mobile phones or by texting when approaching and crossing roads. Appropriate behaviour on public transport was also discussed in groups, and youngsters developed their confidence as well as public speaking and listening skills. At the end of the workshops, they were treated to a play which highlighted road safety issues and offered tips on how to keep safe and how to use road crossings. It was a thoroughly enjoyable day, said Worcester's assistant head teacher, Daniel Ching. They gained a lot of knowledge about road safety. It was especially important because there are regular issues with congestion outside our school, and the council is looking at ways to improve it. Our children love acting, and we have a drama teacher visit each week so that they were really enthusiastic in the workshops. Conflux Theatre in Education is a performing arts company which uses creative play to educate young people. The company provided the workshops in partnership with Enfield Council and also visited Honeylands Primary in Lovell Road, Enfield, Carterhatch Junior in Carterhatch Lane, Enfield, Alma Primary in Alma Road, Ponders End, and St Edmund's Primary in Hertford Road, Edmonton. Ifa Orhan, the Council's Cabinet Member for Education, Children's Services and Protection, said, "The concept of these workshops gives the students the opportunity to educate their peers with important road safety messages while feeling a sense of achievement."
Dirty pub fined. A dirty pub which failed to clean up when threatened with closure has been fined more than £7,000. The Queen's Head in Station Road, Winchmore Hill, was served with a hygiene improvement notice in November 2015. Enfield Council's food safety inspector noticed it had issues relating to food safety management, food hygiene training, and using an unsuitable area for food preparation. A food safety inspector for Enfield Council visited the pub again last March, but it failed to tackle the problems. But it did not listen, and Blitz Enterprises, which owns the pub, pleaded guilty to 4 charges at Highbury Magistrates Court on March 2nd. They were ordered to pay a £6,340 fine, £1,000 in costs, and a £170 victim surcharge. The restaurant has a hygiene rating of 1, meaning its food hygiene and safety was poor, as well as its structural compliance. Confidence in management was described as little. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for the Environment, Councillor Daniel Anderson, said this establishment was given ample opportunity to clean up its act and simply did not do so, even though they were granted extra time to get things right.
Antiques Show. Oldies but goldies, ancient, well, quite old anyway, treasures still attract customers looking for a bargain or a rare special item. Antiques traders bring their wares to St Stephen's Church Hall in Bush Hill Park every second Saturday of the month. And there was an array of trinkets and treats in store last weekend for buyers looking for that little something different. The event was organised by Pasquale Antiques and Vintage Fairs, which is staging several more later this year. For veteran dealer Chris Matthews, 71, of Palmer's Green, the event is a regular part of his life. He sells silver and jewellery and said, "I've been coming for 20 to 30 years now, and I'm selling to the children of my original customers." It was a bit quiet this week, as I think people are recovering from spending over Christmas. But sometimes it's exceptionally good trade, and it can also depend on the weather. I get a lot of my stuff from auctions, fairs and car boot sales, and I sell them on at fairs like this one. The next antique fair at St Stephen's in Park Avenue is on Saturday, April the 8th.
Intervention can prevent fatalities. Unit at the sharp end of gang violence. Set off to the side of the emergency department in North Middlesex University Hospital is a bed surrounded by bright children's stickers of dinosaurs and butterflies. This is the bed where doctors fight to stabilise school-age youngsters admitted with knife wounds and other violent injuries. Staff in the children's A&E department at the hospital in Wilbury Way, Edmonton, treat about 150 youngsters a day. That's 40,000 a year. Some of those are admitted as a result on youth violence. Like every NHS department, it's cash-strapped and is grateful for the £7,700 awarded by the Home Office to the Oasis Youth Support Team, attached to A&E at North Middlesex. The Paediatric Youth Violence Team was set up in October 2014 to help hospital staff provide support to youngsters who kept reappearing in A&E due to anger management problems, assaults, fights and stabbings. Terrifying statistics show that incidents happen not on Friday and Saturday nights, like adult violence, but between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. when children are on their way home from school. Similar projects now run in London's major trauma centres. But what makes the North London University Hospital project so powerful is that it isn't a major trauma centre, so doctors treat much younger patients for violent injuries. Dr. Gail Han is the paediatric consultant for A&E and the named doctor for child protection at North Middlesex. She said, "We're not a trauma centre here, so most of those cases will go to the Royal London Hospital in Whitechapel. But we do have people walk in with knife wounds and even gunshot wounds, and we'll assess them and stabilise them here, or if necessary airlift them to the Royal London. If we can target those kids brought in after punching walls and try to help them with their anger management and violent episodes, then that's a great focus on prevention. By intervening now, we hope we can prevent them becoming fatalities." This project hasn't actually cost the NHS anything. If they end up in ITU, that's intensive care unit, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of pounds. She says, "For us, this is a great additional service to be able to offer young people." Now, it's not a problem specific to Enfield, it's a London-wide issue, and the government has pledged an ongoing commitment to ending gang violence and exploitation. The cash will provide an additional youth worker in A&E at peak times and a girls-only group on Thursday evenings. Rebecca Bex Phillips, 28 years old, an A&E outreach worker, said, About a quarter of the referrals are girls. Often we just act as a sounding board for them. We help girls up to the age of 25, but they tend to be 16 and 17. We focus on anger violence, knife violence and retaliation, talk about choices. With girls, there's huge pressure centred around child sexual exploitation, social media, mental health issues, if they've witnessed violence, and post-traumatic stress issues. They see they are not there to be judged. It's a very good time to intervene in their lives.
North East Surgery Hub is put on hold. Patients in part of Enfield are facing an uncertain wait over whether they will get local access to the extended evening and weekends doctor's appointment service. 3 of the 4 proposed surgery hubs have now been set up, serving the northwest, the southeast and the southwest of the borough, as part of a £1.8 million scheme to make it easier to see a GP, as well as reducing pressure on accident and emergency. But the North East Surgery Hub has been put on hold until June, when Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group will make a decision on whether a 4th facility is needed. The delay has angered Enfield's Over 50s Forum, whose president, Monty Meth, said, "Meanwhile, 80,000 people living in an area from Enfield Highway to Waltham Cross will find it increasingly difficult to access a hub."
School choir sings flawless performance at Wembley. Children sung their hearts out to raise awareness about fostering and adoption. Pupils from the St Thomas More Catholic School in Wood Green put on a performance of smash hit song The Colour Purple. The event at the SSE Arena, Wembley, was as part of the Voice in a Million concert. It is held every year since 2009 to raise awareness about children without a home in the UK. Isabel Awadua, Year 10, was the star of the song as the lead vocalist. Daniel Ellis, a Year 7 pupil, said, "Everything was very overwhelming for me. There were so many children and parents there. The excitement was hard to take in all at once. I felt so proud being on stage because we got such a special experience. I felt really happy for my other friends as well." Ben Goffran, head of music at St Thomas More Catholic School, said, "For weeks, everyone in the choir has been working hard towards this performance, and on Wednesday it all came together and we are so proud of them all. The performance was flawless and totally confident. It was fantastic. The St Thomas More Catholic School Choir are looking forward to their upcoming tour to the Netherlands in May."
Cystic fibrosis fundraisers £6,200 in David's memory. A young father who never got to see his twin son and daughter after his life was tragically cut short was the inspiration behind a charity fundraiser. The event was held in the memory of David Mason, who died from the hereditary disease cystic fibrosis. The 38-year-old's 2-year-old twins, Lily Rose and James, were at the fundraiser at the David Lloyd Centre in Carterhatch Lane, Enfield, along with his widow Laura. They joined with family, friends and staff to help raise a total of £6,220 for the Cystic Fibrosis Trust to fund vital research. David learned he was to be a father just 3 months before his death in December 2013, having battled for 10 months against a rare lung infection, which can be fatal for cystic fibrosis sufferers. David never believed there was anybody for him or that anybody would take him on with his condition. But when he met and married Laura, it was a love match, and they were devoted to each other, said his father, Phillip, who helped organise the event at the centre where they were both members. He was delighted when he found out Laura was pregnant with twins, and although he knew he was to be father, he sadly never got to see his little son and daughter, who were born 6 months after his death, he added. Philip and David's mother, Linda, who lives in Northall, helped organise the special day. It included a cake and bake, a raffle with prizes donated by local businesses, an auction of signed football memorabilia, and a fitness bike challenge with David Lloyd's staff and members competing to ride the furthest in individual 1-hour stints over an 8-hour period. The aim was to raise money for research, as well as raise awareness of the disease caused by a faulty gene which is carried by more than 2 million people in the UK. If 2 carriers have children, there is a 1 in 4 chance their child will have the condition, which slowly destroys the lungs and digestive system, with only half those diagnosed living beyond their 40th birthday. David's father, Phillip, said he was overwhelmed by the generosity of everyone who had donated and volunteered their time to support the cause, and thanked them for their contribution. There was a great community spirit. All the proceeds are now with Cystic Fibrosis Trust to be used for further research into fighting a condition which takes the lives of people at such a young age, he added.
Helping over 50s get fit. Volunteer ambassadors to help inspire over 50s to get fit and healthy will play an important role. Enfield, Albany, Edmonton, Southbury and Southgate leisure centres will have ambassadors in place to help support and increase awareness of being active as people get older. Anula, Anna, Eva and Terry have been attending the leisure centres regularly for years and know firsthand the benefits of staying fit. Albany, Edmonton, Southbury and Southgate leisure centres are managed by Fusion Lifestyle, a registered charity which provides quality sport, leisure and fitness activities to local communities in partnership with Enfield Council.
And I've got a shaggy dog story. Under the title, Dog Tanyan helps to deliver some rough justice. Police have hailed a determined dog for helping to corner a knife man. Dog Tanyan and his police dog handler were instrumental in the arrest of 2 men in Enfield. They were caught after residents spotted the knife man in the street. A police helicopter also helped in the search, tweeting about its success on Sunday. And Dog Tanyan, named presumably after D'Artagnan from the Three Musketeers stories, was praised for his hard work. In a Facebook post, Enfield Police said, "The very fluffy but very determined Dog Tanyan chased down 2 men who ran from police in High Street, Ponders End. An eagle-eyed member of the public called police when they saw a man running along the street with a knife chasing someone. The knife was a large hunting knife and has no place on the streets of Enfield. The caller was obviously distressed by this. Police responded quickly and, with the help of CCTV scanning the area, located the 2 men walking in the street with the knife on show." They added, "The 2 men ran from the police towards South Street and police contained them within a small area. The police helicopter was called to assist and flew overhead looking for the men who were hiding. Dog Tanyan and his fantastic police handler tracked down the 2 men and also found the knife close to them. Both were detained and arrested. Dog Tanyan was happy to receive his ball to chew on as a reward for removing another dangerous weapon from Enfield's streets."
Fight for the NHS. A letter from Sue Davies of Defend Enfield NHS. After months of worry about what is happening to our NHS, on Saturday, March the 4th, I joined the NHS March in London. It was a truly inspiring event with people of all ages joining in, but it did not have any impact on a government that is determined to set up a private health system by stealth. The reorganisation and the privatisation that has been taking place since the Health and Social Care Act of 2012 has largely been ignored by most people who find the tangle of acronyms CCG, clinical Commissioning Group, STP, Sustainability and Transformation Plans, for our NCL, North Central London Footprint, and now the AEBM programme, Adherence to Evidence-Based Medicine, all a bit too much to take on. I wonder how many residents realise the extent of the privatisation taking place, or even care, because we have always felt that if our NHS is in good hands, with our doctors in charge, all will turn out to be well in the end. How wrong we can be. Privatisation will mean profits going elsewhere, and we will not be the primary focus of care anymore. Publicity tends to blame the NHS itself for what has been going wrong, but in circles where the truth is known, the NHS is still considered to be one of the very best health services in the world. Most patients are still very satisfied with the care they receive, and we all expect it to continue as a free service at the point of need. The truth is that it is being starved of the funds it needs, and any extra money being spent is to streamline it into a semi-private service. More cuts are being planned all over the country, not only in the closure of A&E centres and loss of hospital beds, but also in our access to operations that we may need. Even the death rate is already starting to rise. The present exercise, being carried out by our Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group, CCG, the Adherence to Evidence-Based Medicine, AEBM, is a public consultation to ask us, the residents, to agree that many unnecessary operations can be cut so that our local health service can live within its means. This may depend on how much pain we are in and may be deferred for alternative treatment, or if we are a smoker or overweight. A long list of operations is being considered, and in this consultation we are supposed to agree. However, it is one thing to present it as a medical decision by a doctor and consultant, which is how it has always been, and quite another to see this in practice as a paper exercise by a privatised company, which will inevitably happen under the new system. I would urge those who can to attend the CCG consultation, which only lasts a month and is already half over. 2 more daytime events are taking place on March 22 and 30 at Community House in Edmonton. This is really a paper exercise, and it has not been well publicised, has a very short timescale, and does not even include an evening meeting. It is possible, but not easy, to respond online on their website. For more information, look at the Palmers Green community website, www.palmersgreen.org.uk/pgc/local-news/weekly-newsletter.
We are meeting again. A star-studded variety show to celebrate Dame Vera Lynn's 100th birthday is going to take place soon at the London Palladium, and among the performers will be a former professional dancer from Enfield. Jill Spivey was a member of the Dougie Squires' second-generation dance group 33 years ago, which has reformed especially for the occasion. The 56-year-old of Silver Street, Enfield Town, will join 70 other ex-members of the dance troupe, aged between 40 and 70, on the famous stage in a spectacular concert. Stars of stage and screen, including Bradley Walsh, Russell Watson, Alan Titchmarsh, Anthony Andrews, Sir Tim Rice, Wayne Sleep, and Esther Ranson, as well as many others, are coming together in an extravaganza honouring the life of the Forces sweetheart who will be present. Jill, who works as a yoga teacher, was invited to take part by her former boss, Dougie Squires, who is directing and choreographing the show after former members of his troupe got together for a reunion last year and began meeting regularly for dance classes at the West London studio where they used to rehearse. It was wonderful to meet friends and old faces I hadn't seen for more than 30 years, she said. In the show, we are performing the opening dance sequence from the recent Oscar-winning movie La La Land, which is quite challenging, especially when you haven't danced in more than 3 decades. Your mind still thinks you're a 20-year-old, but your body tells you different, she confessed. Jill describes the opportunity to appear on the stage of the iconic theatre and to celebrate Dame Vera's centenary as a privilege. She was renowned as the entertainer who kept troops' spirits up during the war, putting her own personal safety at risk to tour Egypt, India and Burma to perform for the Allies, said Jill. Her contribution to boosting the nation's morale in the darkest days of war with songs including We'll Meet Again and The White Cliffs of Dover is immeasurable. She is beloved by my parents' generation, and I feel honoured to be entertaining her and helping raise funds for Dame Vera's children's charity, she added.
The best defence against fake news. A free and fearless press is society's best defence against fake news, the News Media Association said this week. But the association, which speaks for national, regional and local news media organisations, warned that action is needed to ensure quality journalism can survive online. Fake news was the term coined to describe untrue stories published on bogus news websites and shared on social media. The way online advertising space is sold means advertisers often see their ads appearing on fake news sites without their consent. And the term fake news has been seized on by politicians and anti-press lobby groups to silence the press and shut down debate. In its submission to the Culture, Media and Sport Committee's inquiry into fake news, the NMA called for an urgent investigation. NMA Chairman Ashley Highfield said, "The committee's inquiry is a timely opportunity to concentrate minds on the immense value to society and democracy of genuine news. But it is also necessary to ensure the very people the press holds to account, those in authority, don't cry fake news when they simply disagree with a story or don't like a headline." The Enfield Independent's editor Victoria Birch said local newspapers could be relied on as trustworthy news sources. She said, "Our reporters work hard finding stories that matter to the communities we serve. We care that the facts we report are true, and it is important to us that we are as accountable to our readers as the politicians and authorities we report on." Mr. Highfield said, Instead of weakening the press, government and regulators should concentrate on combating fake news. The only effective way to tackle fake news is for genuine news publishers to continue their important work of investigative journalism, reporting and fact-checking.
7 nuns at 7 sisters. 7 sisters paid a visit to their namesake station in an amusing scene captured by a commuter. Ben Patey, 33, was travelling home from work when he noticed 7 nuns on the overground platform at 7 Sisters station in Tottenham. Mr. Patey quickly photographed the moment the nuns took time out to relax near the station's sign before boarding a train. 7 Sisters is believed to take its name from a group of 7 elm trees which were planted around a willow tree in the 14th century. It is thought they may have been planted by 7 non-ecclesiastical sisters who were going their separate ways. Mr. Patey said, "I had just had a long day and was waiting to jump on the train when I looked across and saw the nuns and the sign. I had to do a double take. It was one of those strange but amusing moments.
NHS spends £7 million on EpiPens for children with severe allergies. Reason for prescription often unclear. There is unclear justification for many prescriptions of injections issued to children with allergies across the UK, a new study suggests. Experts have found that the number of children issued with pre-filled adrenaline autoinjectors, AAIs, commonly known by one branded type, an EpiPen, to protect against severe allergic reaction has soared by 355% since the year 2000. But the rationale for prescribing is in many cases unclear, argue a team of researchers. Anaphylaxis is a serious allergic reaction which can be deadly. People thought to be at risk are prescribed AAIs for emergency self-administration to prevent worsening symptoms. The authors of the latest study said that since their introduction to the UK in 1996, prescription rates of AAIs has increased exponentially. The research, published in the British Journal of General Practice, examined prescription data for children aged 0 to 17 from 587 primary care practices across the UK. Overall information on more than 1 million children was gathered for use in the study. They found that 23,837 children were deemed high risk of anaphylaxis by their GPs and were prescribed a total of 98,737 AAI devices between the year 2000 and 2012. About half of these children were noted as having egg, nut, seafood, insect venom allergy, or previous anaphylaxis by their physicians. The data show a 355% increase in the proportion of children issued with AAI devices and a 506% increase in AAI devices prescribed. The researchers also found a 33% increase in the number of devices issued per child, with the average high-risk child issued 4 AAIs each year. Lead author Lavanya Diwakar, honorary consultant in immunology, Queen Elizabeth Hospital, Birmingham, and colleagues wrote, given that only half of the high-risk children were noted as having a previous relevant allergy or anaphylaxis diagnosis, the rationale for prescribing is, in many cases, unclear. They added that the average cost of an AAI is £25.80, and they estimated that in 2012 the NHS spent almost £7 million on them. Given that these devices have a limited shelf life and need to be renewed regularly, the costs could escalate considerably if the current trend continues.
Hate can't win if we have hope and peace. This is an account by Mihira Begum, Youth Services Coordinator, of an event which took place at Palmer's Green Mosque on March the 6th. We ran an interfaith event for young people. We strongly believe it is important that this message of positive diversity and unity is delivered in our local community. The world we know, unfortunately, has been testing, to say the least. We are being judged more and more by our race, religion, culture, and social status. Neighbourhood and communities are divided and weakened by allowing hate to flourish and giving a platform for it to breed. The world is forgetting the need for good neighbours near and far. As a Muslim youth group, Green Stars, based at Palmer's Green Mosque, understands the importance of neighbours, and it is an essential part of the community. Whether it is a neighbour in the street or our neighbour in our community, local or international, we have a strong responsibility towards them to treat them kindly and serve them generously. That is why we were so honoured to invite our Scout neighbours from the 6th Southgate group to join us on our Monday sessions and be part of our activities. Our members ran activities that gave our neighbours an understanding of the Islamic faith, which was both fun and educational. The group took part in a fun photo booth activity where they got to try on traditional Islamic clothing and capture memories in our photo booth. The other activity taught the group about Arabic writing, where they got to paint their names in Arabic on tiles. They were invited to see how we pray and see how the mosque functions. These events are so important to remind the world that we can be united and that hate can never win when there are opportunities for peace and hope.
Stunt raises awareness about domestic abuse. Charity hijacks advertising billboards. A women's charity has hijacked advertising space to highlight a lack of funding for domestic abuse victims. More than 120 advertising spaces on the tube, bus stops and billboards in North London have been used by Sisters Uncut to expose the lack of spaces available for victims of domestic abuse. The stunt coincided with International Women's Day and the second budget under Prime Minister Theresa May. The posters highlight how many beds are available for victim refuge. There are 29 beds in Enfield, 8 of which are reserved for specialist services. There are 25 beds in Camden, with 8 for specialist services, 21 in Haringey and 6 throughout Harrow. According to Freedom of Information submitted by Sisters Uncut, funding for domestic violence has been cut by London councils by more than 1/3 since 2010. Currently underfunded refuges are forced to turn away 2 to 3 people each week. Last month, the Prime Minister announced that she would create new laws to help victims of domestic abuse, and the charity are using the budget as an opportunity to ask Mrs May to put her money where her mouth is. Sisters Uncut member Janelle Brown said, "As an MP, Theresa May voted through the budget cuts that brought about this crisis in the first place. So it's infuriating that she's suddenly saying she'll help domestic violence survivors. It's so disingenuous. She spent the last 5 years kicking the whole support sector down and is now suddenly offering a hand up." Laura Jenkinson said, "Domestic violence legislation can't take survivors by the hand and guide them to freedom. They need expert support and somewhere safe to live. If Theresa May truly cares, she needs to secure money for these life-saving services."
And I've now got the weekly political column, and this time it's the turn of Terry Neville, who is the Enfield Council Conservative Group leader. He writes, "There's nothing like budgets to get people going, and in the past 2 weeks we've had 2. The council's coming first, followed by Chancellor Phillip Hammond's last Wednesday, bringing a mixture of good and bad news. The council budget brought the bad news. Borrowing is to increase on a massive scale, projected to take total council debt during the next year close to £1 billion, and the interest on it has to be paid from our taxes. The scandal is that much of the new borrowing is not to build much-needed housing or care homes, but to set up and invest in a second property company. So we have the prospect of a property company run by Labour councillors with little experience gambling with your money. Meanwhile, expenditure on the parks is to be cut, probably involving toilets being closed. £50,000 less will be spent on improving safety in schools, putting some of our children at risk. And £500,000 less will be available for the voluntary sector. There's no money approved to maintain our roads and pavements, unless, of course, it's a cycle lane. Thankfully, the other budget provided some good news. Some £2 billion of new money will be provided by the government over 3 years to help fund adult social care. Enfield should receive around £11 million over that period, £5.6 million of it in 2017 to 18. Proposals to raise this new money from increased taxation have not been welcomed universally. It's one of the dilemmas of government, because generally speaking, we all want more services, but do not have the same enthusiasm to pay for them ourselves.
Football. Town respond perfectly to defeat with 3-1 away win. Fine first half earns market victory. Enfield Town bounced back from their loss against Ryman Premier League leaders Havant and Waterlooville as they won 3-1 at third-placed Needham Market on Saturday. The Towners scored within the first minute of the game when Samir Bimutin's low cross was prodded goalwards by Carl Oliaidi. However, the ball took a huge deflection off the retreating Kieran Morphew to wrong-foot keeper Danny Gay for an own goal. But Needham was soon on the front foot, and Billy Clark's effort passed close to Nathan McDonald's right-hand post. Dernell Winter looked to double the away side's lead, but Gay was alert to smother another deflected effort. But Town did go 2 up in the 12th minute when Mark Kirby, who was up for a corner, played the ball back into the box for Harold Joseph to plant a firm header past the keeper. The hosts had a chance to reduce the deficit through Cameron Norman, but his shot from distance was comfortably gathered by MacDonald. The away side soon made it 3 when Billy Crook threaded a ball through to Bimutin. His initial shot was parried by Gay, but the forward made no mistake with the rebound. Joseph had another header saved by Gay, and after a toe poke from Ian Miller had gone well wide for the hosts, Bimutin found himself in another good position inside the penalty area, but Jake Dye managed to make the vital clearance. Market's manager, Mark Morsley, made a triple substitution after the break in an attempt to galvanise his team, and they did pull one back after 62 minutes, when a corner from the left was turned in by Ian Miller from close range to reduce the arrears. This did not knock Town out of their stride, and Winter shot just wide from a Bimutin's cross a minute later. Enfield had an appeal for a penalty when, following a desperate scramble in the 18-yard box, there appeared to be a handball from a defender, but the appeals were waved away by referee Daniel Cook. Chances continued for Town into the latter stages of the match as Mickey Parcell shot wide from Winter's pass. Oliaidi had a shot saved and John Merlubia fired over. Substitute Rhys Dobson's effort flew well wide for the hosts, and John Sands planted a header onto the top of the bar as Enfield secured the win to go 8th in the table, 6 points outside the playoffs.
Rugby. No bonus consolation in heavy defeat. Enfield Ignatians were outclassed 63-17 by 4th-placed Belsize Park in their London 2 Northwest clash at Regent's Park last Saturday. The visitors trailed 35-0 at the break, but came very close to earning a bonus point as they piled on the pressure in the second period. Tries from Wes Warren, Jake Bates and Tim Jaworski gave the blue and gold some badly needed momentum, and they continued to chase the game until the final minute. Ignatians managed to run a penalty close to the line after Belsize picked up a second yellow card for killing the ball. A fired-up Enfield broke the gain line, but crucially the ball was dropped with the whitewash in sight, and the chance of securing a valuable bonus point went begging. Coach Ali Cook said, "I set the team the objective of scoring 4 tries, and we certainly responded. However, we made far too many errors, and against the better sides in the division you get punished for your mistakes." Ignatians now sit 8th in the table and face a crunch clash away to Tabard on March the 25th. The combined Ignatian second and third teams lost an away friendly 27-17 to their Cheshunt counterparts. The visitors paid dearly for a lethargic start and trailed 24-0 at the break before they rallied to score 3 tries in the second half.
And staying with rugby union, Saracens' hopes of completing a remarkable treble came to an end on Saturday when they were beaten 32-10 at home by Leicester in the semi-finals of the Anglo-Welsh Cup. Flying high in the upper reaches in the Aviva Premiership, and with a home quarter-final to look forward to in the European Champions Cup, Sarries kept faith with the players who had got them through to the last 4, as they fielded an inexperienced side for the contest. In contrast, Leicester included numerous first-team regulars in their starting lineup, and their extra quality told as they enjoyed a comfortable triumph. Henry Taylor and Matt Gallagher scored well-worked tries for the hosts, but these proved to be their only points, as young fly-half Tom Whiteley endured an afternoon to forget with the boot. George Worth, Luke Hamilton, Ellis Genge and Freddie Burns all scored tries for Leicester, with Burns kicking a further 12 points. We couldn't get into any flow at any stage of the game, said Academy coach Ian Vass, who took charge of the team in the competition. When we did manage it, we looked quite good, and we scored a couple of tries, but that didn't happen that often. Maybe Leicester had a bit more experience in their squad, but I don't think that's the real reason we lost the game at all. They played well and they took their chances, and I suppose we didn't take as many chances as we wanted to. The odd bounce of the ball here and there meant the scoreline got bigger than it should have done. I think hopefully our lads have shown they can be trusted in big games and big occasions. I think a few of them definitely did that in this match. Without a match this weekend, Saracens return to action by hosting Bath in the Premiership on March the 26th at 3 p.m.
And finally, I've got another football story under the heading Cockfosters secure a memorable triumph over Hertford. Cockfosters are now level on points with second-placed Hertford Town in the Spartan Premier Division after completing a league double over the pre-season title favourites by securing a 2-1 victory on Saturday. A bumper crowd at Chalk Lane saw a blank first half, but it was Cockfosters who struck first through Ben Hart midway through the second period. Although the visitors hit back as Ricky Light equalised with 12 minutes left, Cockfosters were not to be denied, and Jay Rolfe scored a dramatic winner deep in stoppage time as the Reds condemned Hertford to their first away league defeat of the season. "It was another great win," said manager Dean Barker. "I think that we just about deserved it. We missed 2 really good chances early on, and it was a pretty even game after that. The lads showed great desire and fitness levels, and it was fantastic that we got a 94th minute winner. It's the best possible time to score. Jay has been superb for us all season. He's made more appearances than anyone else, and I was absolutely delighted for him when he got the late goal." Cockfosters now have a break in their fixtures before returning to action at home to Sun Sports on Tuesday at 7:45 p.m, and Barker admits to having mixed feelings about their enforced rest. "It's not ideal to go 10 days without a game when you're on a run like we've been on," he added, "but a few of the lads have got knocks, and sometimes a little rest can do you good. We've got 8 league games left, and we want to win as many of them as possible. Hertford have got a game in hand on us, and we'll just have to see where we can end up. Everyone is enjoying making history for this club and being a part of this great run we've been on." We've reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of Danny, Peter, Darren, John and Peter on the controls, it's goodbye. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet. Put the memory stick into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper on 020 8805 6578. Coming up next, the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound. The Enfield Talking Newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.